Hello everyone, it is I, Watercolour, back from my small video making break during Inktober. Although streams are still getting uploaded, I didn't have enough time during October to upload them to YouTube. Either way, they're uploading slowly but surely, and in the meantime on Twitch I am currently plotting out things for the story that we plotted during this Inktober. Also, if there's any kind of background noise, it's currently storming outside, so you know what's up. Anyways, I am back, and I'm here today to catch up with my Zodiac fairies. Starting this week with Libra, the scales, or Waage as it is called for Germans. I grew up with these German translations. It is far easier for me to remember what they are, rather than remembering the Latin names, so just a little fun fact. I think I do this in almost every Zodiac video. Anyway, it is apparently an air sign, ruled by the planet Venus, although if I managed to get that planet across is questionable. This sign goes from September 23rd until October 22nd, and I have seen a few posts on Pinterest associating this sign with a rose, and so this painting got very rose-centric. But she ended up very cute because of that, so, you know, even if the pose looks a tiny bit awkward in the end, it's fine. I mean, I was drawing nothing but mermaids last month. I need a little time to get back into drawing people with legs. So anyways, she has a dress with very wide open sleeves, vines on the bodice, and a skirt that resembles rose petals, if you have enough imagination, that is. Her hair is very poofy in order to allude to the fact that this is an air sign, and I put roses in her hair around the sleeves and 2 on her skirt, as well as a bunch of roses and bushes around her. Also, after not opening my ink pot for almost an entire month, I opened it once during Inktober, but since then I haven't touched it. The lid of the pot got so stuck that I literally spent 10 minutes to get it loose. You can count yourselves lucky that you don't have to watch me struggle with it for 10 minutes, though. It was a struggle for me, because I wanted to get outlining and then stupid ink pot. Okay, but let's get into the mythology of Libra, because that is part of the reason why I am doing the Zodiac series in the first place. So, for the ancient Babylonians, the scales represented balance. Quite obvious, since scales are based around keeping things like prices and things like that fair. However, for the Greeks, Libra stars used to be associated with the zodiac sign Scorpio. It was literally just a part of Scorpio. Remnants of this are still left over in some of the stars' names, like Zubineshemali. I hope I didn't butcher that. But the name of this star from Libra is Arabic for Northern Claw, as it used to be part of, Scorpio. This star is also the brightest one in this constellation, and there's another star that's called something related to another claw, but I don't remember, and I didn't write it down in the script, so you're just gonna have to click on the links down below where I have a little bit of more information on that. And then the Romans came along and separated Libra from Scorpio, making it, Libra, the scales, that is held by the constellation Virgo, the Virgin, that I painted in the last Zodiac fairy video that I did. The Zodiac sign that's associated with virgins and things like that. For the Egyptians, however, the 3 brightest stars of Libra formed a boat constellation, which I think is kind of neat. Needless to say, Libra seems to have quite a bit of a chaotic history in the regards of what it is and what it is not. I mean, sure, no human is going to coordinate with this, but I just thought that this is some very interesting history for this zodiac sign. I didn't look into the history of the other zodiac signs, I bet their history isn't any less chaotic, but I like this. The scales themselves are held by Astrea, sometimes they name Dike or Themis, but it's definitely held by a goddess of justice, and according to some articles, she is also the goddess that's represented in Virgo, and together the two of them represent the balance of the seasons and day and night. Well, mostly Libra. Virgo is still Virgin and stuff. It's a bit confusing, but then again, we're just talking about stars here. Stars where we humans said, that's a pattern, that's a scale. Since Libra is the only object in the Zodiac cycle, it kind of doesn't really have a myth around it. At least none that I could find, aside from being the object that the goddess of justice holds. And let's not forget that the Greeks didn't see it as a separate constellation. They saw it as a part of Scorpio. And so, in the area of Greek myths, I won't be able to find anything that wouldn't also be related to Scorpio. Random fun fact though, there's an asteroid shower associated with Libra, the May Librids. And it also used to be the constellation where the sun would be during the autumnal equinox until around the year 729. Now, it is in the constellation Virgo and will remain there for another few hundred years. I will leave an article down below that goes into proper depth about all the stars and other objects located in Libra. Now, since there isn't much more to talk about concerning Libra, because it literally just represents balance of different things, either trade or, as I've said before, day, night, the seasons, everything in balance. The thing that humans strive for but never really get because we're just very bad at keeping balance. Let's take a look at the fairy though that I have drawn for this particular Zodiac because I am pretty proud of this one. The sketch and inking weren't all that hard, though it seems that some of the ink hadn't completely dried yet. So when I added water to the paper of the first layer, it kind of smeared all over the place, and because of that, I was forced to take a little break and then come back once I could be certain everything had dried. At this point, the ink caused no more problems and I could simply proceed with actually adding colour, which I was actually excited for because I really wanted to do this, okay? I really wanted to get back into watercolours after doing only inks for an entire month. And colouring pencils because I was working on something else at the time, but you get what I mean. I haven't been working with watercolours for a month. I was excited to get back into it. So, for the first layer, I wet the entire page and worked with a mix of blues that were left on the palette along with some indigo, and I put shadows in the sky and some vague suggestions of shadows on the fairy and the bushes, though thanks to the fact that I was working wet and wet, those shadows kind of flowed around a bit and they were more of a vague guideline for me in the end, but that was kind of what I was intending for them to be. Once all of that was dry, I took some phthalo green and began defining the fairy. My vague thought process was that since a lot of the fairy's features would end up being red, because remember, roses were a great influence on her design, it simply made sense to me to start with green as a sort of underpainting layer. Underpaintings are something I have been experimenting with a lot recently. I find that a lot of times it adds extra layers of depth and colour to my pieces, though for different sections of the drawing, sometimes I feel like I should be using different colours, and I still haven't quite found a sort of way of doing it good. Well, not good, but better. Next layer, I think I was working with Madder Lake D. I don't exactly remember it, as I wasn't referencing my swatch card while I was picking my colours. I just went in. After Inktober, it has just taken me a bit to get back into all the habits of watercolour painting for videos again. So with the red tone that I did end up choosing, I added some red areas to the fairy overall. I wasn't really working with shadows when I was doing that. I was working more in parts that wouldn't be so dark and I wanted to shine through or something. After that, I took a break because I wasn't sure how to proceed, how to go on, and don't get me wrong, I liked the way she was looking. I just didn't know what colours she should be. What colours do I put in her hair, her dress, the shoes, the scales? It was all a big question mark for me and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with her. So I took a break, and sometimes that is good. And in this case, it helped. though I only came back the next morning to finish her off. And during the night I pondered what to do with her. Like, do I want a two-colour dynamic, for example, to represent light and dark within her? I mean, I don't think it would have looked that bad, honestly. But in the end, I didn't really go for it. In a mix of greens that I don't really remember which ones they were, I did paint the vines on the scales and the bodice of her dress. The skirt, I decided, was to be coloured in rose, and while it was still wet, I added permanent red violet into the shadow areas to make them stand out. Her hair, I ended up going with the two colourway, though. That's the only part where I did go for it. The left side I painted over with one of my yellow shades, again. Not sure which one anymore. Didn't have my swatch card. This is what I need my swatch card for. The right side was a mix of green with indigo in order to make it really dark, and that's what I used. If I had planned this out ahead better with my underpainting, I would have perhaps used different colours for the sections of the hair to bring out some more shadows better. Possibly some purple would have worked better underneath the yellow, and perhaps, red could have served for better shading underneath the dark green section of her hair, although I think that was already kind of in there now that I'm thinking about it. Her skin tone I kept light, mixing just some burnt sienna with yellow ochre and thinning it out, just painting one layer over the whole thing. I do go over some of the shadows with a darker brown, but mostly her skin tone remained a light colour. Then there was Venus. This started out with a layer of lemon yellow and a few browns. I believe it was burnt sienna, spread out with my fun brush. I'm currently trying to see what I can use that brush for. I think it is a fun shape, though I had some difficulty controlling it, but I'm sure with time I can get the hang of it. For large areas it may come in handy, but I'm not sure yet. I added a second layer of nearly identical colours to Venus, as well as a little indigo and salt on top of that. Not much, just enough to get a little texture into the planet's surface. And once all of that was dry again, I removed the salt and added some burnt sienna on top in order to allude to the fact that there are different cracks and craters on Venus. In the end, I wasn't very detailed with it, so you may need a little bit of imagination in order to tell that that is supposed to be Venus, but that is the best I could do at the time. The bushes I painted very similarly to the way I approached the fairy. First a layer of phthalo green, then Madder Lake Deep, and finally I defined it all first with azumafine, green, yellow, and possibly a little sap green, and whatever greens were left on the palette mixed into it. I used these to give the rose bushes some shape before I mixed something darker to deepen the shadows. I think I was using indigo to darken the greens again, because I really like the way that looks. As mentioned before, I'm still experimenting with underpaintings. So far, I'm doing pretty okay, I suppose, when I'm doing them on characters. Again, the situation with the hair was a little unusual, but I am working things out. And maybe next time I'll remember to do different colours for underpaintings. Backgrounds, I don't really do much with underpaintings, but maybe there was a better way of approaching these brushes. Either way, you may have noticed that I left certain details, like the roses, without a proper colour. Well, that is simply because after such a long time without my precious watercolours, I had a great need to bring up my metallic watercolour paints again. And all the roses got a nice good coating of shiny watercolour goodness. But obviously, I would never stop with the roses. The vine details on our fairy's bodice I also painted over with a green metallic paint. Her hair received metallic highlights. The constellation I had drawn over the scales was painted and connected in metallic paints. I added the Libra glyph onto the both bowls of the scales in a purple metallic paint. And of course, I had to splatter some metallic coloured stars all around them in the sky. That is simply a must in a dark Zodiac painting like this. We need stars, and lots of them. Yes, of course, I could have used my silver and gold inks, which I have now had for over 2 years at this point. Does ink go bad? Let's not think about it. I was feeling colourful metallics for this painting, so no inks. Maybe next time. We'll see what I do with Scorpio. Speaking of next time, I believe we are getting close to the end of the video. So come and join me for the final result. Isn't she just adorable? I love everything about her. She is cute, she is shiny, she is rosy, and I am so happy with her. Okay, the legs look a little odd, but that's alright. Hands weren't much of an issue with this either. Maybe because I covered one of them by a star and kept the other one as simple as possible. But hey, nobody will know, right? I keep saying that online. I should perhaps stop doing that. Either way, I am happy with it. Now I'd like to know what you guys think about my Libra fairy. And all the other fairies too. And maybe other videos. You know, you can go ahead, pop onto my channel, watch some other things. Or, you know, you can write your thoughts in the comments down below if you so wish. Don't forget to also check out my Instagram, Twitch, and my entirely free Discord server. All links are down below, as well as some of the sources. I know I didn't link to many, but the articles were just repeating themselves in a way, so that's all you're gonna get. For the time being, I am the Witch of Paint, and I shall see you all next Sunday. Bye! Well, look here. Who's made it to the end of the video? Very well done. I know that in some areas there have been some little background noises that I couldn't quite eliminate. I'm sorry about that. It's just a bit stormy today. That's it. Anyways, I won't hold you up for much longer. You are here for the outtakes, I presume, so I'm going to go ahead and give you those. Have fun! Starting this week with Libra, the scales, not scares, haha, the scares. Scary Zodiac. Also, after not opening my ink, let's try that again. It was literally just a part of it, and remnants. This is why I need my swatch. Ugh.